This is the one we have all been waiting for all season long. Every time we speak to a driver, it all comes down to this round, a brief 360 in front of Martin Lawrence to get us started on the show. This is the circuit that all of our drivers were looking forward to. Everyone, every time I asked, what are you looking forward to through the rest of the season? It was Mount Panorama, the 23-turn circuit that goes up the mountain, down the mountain. There is basically no circuit quite like it on any racing calendar ever. It is so fantastic. It is the Australian wonder, home to often one of the most famous and most exciting races of the year. Of course, I'm talking about the 12 Hours of Bathurst, but it's not the 12 Hours of Bathurst here today. It's a nice, solid 90-minute sprint up and down the mountain to close out our season of GT3 Masters here on RCI. My name is Jack Mays, and I am joined by none other than Mr. Dan the Man for the final time this season. And are you excited? Are you tingling? I'm tingling right now.
I'm tingling in my fingers, in my belly. But you said going up and down, going up and down the mountain, completing a lap up and down the mountain, I can for sure confirm we will not only go up and down the mountain, but probably beside it as well, as the walls are definitely protective of the drivers. But as we've seen in practice, Jack, the walls doesn't always seem to be enough to keep these cars on track.
No, not quite. I mean, we just saw Philip Rhea tapping the wall just ahead of our championship leader. And yeah, we saw a Mustang briefly wall riding for a good 100 or so meters, completely vertical. And it was impressive. And hopefully we don't see anything quite as dramatic in the race. Well, maybe. I don't know. That would be kind of fun. But qualifying, though, I'm sure there'll be a bit of drama, driving pushing to their absolute limit, finding the best possible lap time they can. Gridding is very important at a circuit like this, because once you get up that mountain, as Dan, I'm sure you know, it can be a bit tricky to get past and get a good, clean overtake.
Certainly, I mean, there are opportunities. We obviously have the first straight. We say normally in like 24-hour races, especially in real life, in Bathurst, in the 12 hours of Bathurst, it is very much not uncommon to see everyone go 3 wide, coming out of the first corner onto corner bend into the second corner, and either complete it or make a huge pile-up, which the latter normally happens here at Bathurst. We obviously have the Conrad straight followed into the chase, which is risky, but can deliver fantastically. So, I mean, there are plenty of options. I think it's more important though, Jack. Can you keep your car on track?
I mean, I couldn't. If I was driving right now, it would be... I mean, I think I'd get to turn 2. I think I'd get to turn 2. I think I'd get to turn 2, brake too late, and slam right into the wall and ride it up the mountain. I don't know. I'd maybe do all right. But that is 100% the measure of this circuit. It's not as much about keeping it between the white lines, because walls are never far beyond the white lines. It's keeping it just on the black and white, keeping it on the tarmac, keeping it away from the walls. Here's Adam Krekske, the 13-year-old phenom, crossing the line to possibly better their lap time. They hadn't done. Oh, no, they have done. Bettering it up to P6, a driver that's in practice very, very quick, so we'll be looking there. And now we're on board with legend himself, the nearly on pace driver, John Dalton, a commentary phenom as well. Possibly better known for his exploits in the commentary box, but utterly quick in this series so far, giving you a driver's eye view once you start coming up through the mountain. It's never not impressive. It's never not terrifying. You learn to love it, you learn to fear it, but you have to respect it. It's all about, especially to this section here, getting as close to the wall as you can. Huge commitment. If you get your line wrong, you're going out to the grass. Here's the S's. The most legendary section of corners on this circuit. He's all over the place, but he actually manages to survive that.
Yeah, no, I mean, there was a car to the left of him as well. This is beautiful to watch, like you said, Jack. Just to add just a little bit, it's beautiful, it's fast, drivers have to respect it. But it's never comfortable. You're never going to get comfortable with this track, because the walls are inches, millimeters away from hitting the side, the front or the rear of your car when you get loose. It's never comfortable to watch. It's probably never comfortable to drive, as the only comfortable bit is probably this bit coming into the chase. John Dalton brakes as fast as he can, late as he does, goes on the throttle on towards the last corner. What can John Dalton do in this quali lap? He has around 7 minutes to put another quali lap on the board, or one lap takes roughly 2 minutes here at Bathurst. It's absolutely insanity. John Dalton does improve, but stays in P5. What can the young Swede do? The young Swede also doesn't improve, actually. Maybe the German driver who's currently driving a Porsche. Porsche not a popular track here, in a popular car here in Bathurst. To see what the German driver can do.
Yeah, he's coming up here through turn 4, cutting corner, and it's all about commitment. You have to commit, otherwise you're not going to find any lap time, and probably you're going to find yourself in the wall. If you commit too little, wall. If you commit too much, you might end up in the wall anyways. There's no comfort to be found, but Raphael Huell does look pretty well sorted through here. I will note Joe Dauber's in the YouTube chat already talking about how lovely the Porsche sounds, and I agree. Absolutely flying through the mountain, echoing off the trees, echoing off the walls. It sounds exceptionally good, and of course he's going to join us on the stream during qualifying, at least as a viewer, because Joe Dauber never qualifies. Well, he actually did qualify once this season, which was the first I've seen it, but for the first time, he actually has a partner with him. That's Lily Armstrong in the AMG, usually in the steward's box, but has found the time to join us for the final round, the fastest hands in the West. I'm sure, Dan, we will explain more of what that means once we get into the race and once we get on board.
Oh, for sure. 15 minutes and 16 seconds to go in this qualifying session. I was talking about the German driver, was still putting him on the cameras. Raphael Huell, the German driver, coming across the last turn. Maybe a little drift, no, because he needs to set up a staggering qualifying lap if he wants to put himself up towards the front, which currently he doesn't. 1.2 seconds, almost 1.3 seconds off pole position, but that can all change. Currently, the man, the Britishman, Andy Boardman in the Ferrari, in the red Ferrari, like we normally see. He has a Lamborghini right in front of him, which is going to slow him down for sure. Into the S's. I'm not sure who the Lamborghini is. I think it's Vaui, if I pronounce that name correctly. Probably not. Who slowed Andy Boardman down, coming into the S's. And now I'm not sure if the Britishman can actually pull off a better time. He's down currently to 69, misses, well, almost slams into the wall there, coming onto the back straight, and thus I think this is a pretty lost lap for Andy Boardman. He's got a Honda NSX of Oliver Keaton, if I'm not mistaken, behind him, now in front of him, as Andy Boardman pulls off to the side of the track.
Yeah, now we're on board with Philip Rhea, which anybody who's familiar with ACC and you see the Lexus, you know it is a straight line menace. It is an absolute missile compared to most other cars, and already up into 6th. Rhea is showing a bit of that pace. Maybe not the quickest on the actual mountain itself, but as many people know, when it comes to racing this circuit, you don't necessarily need to be faster than the cars that are behind you. You just need to not let them pass. With a missile, as soon as he enters either the Conrad Straight or the Mountain Straight, well, you're not really going to get past it. It all has to be very well calculated up on the mountain. Obviously, when I say this car isn't as fast on the mountain, it certainly still isn't slow.
Yeah.
A little bit of a wall tap for Rhea, and Ross maybe abandoning this lap just a bit, sort of backing off, getting it back ready to go for another lap. He lost too much time after hitting the wall. But another lap will come. As I said, Dan, it is such a long circuit, one of the longer circuits that you'll see on an ACC calendar. And also, it feels long. Some circuits, I'd say like Spa, doesn't feel like a super long lap. It sort of flows, you can relax a bit. But Bathurst, no. It is an absolute cruiser. Every lap feels like an age. But drivers so far doing phenomenal to stay out of the wall.
Mentality will be in big play, to put it that way, coming into, well, especially at the end of the race. When you lose a little bit of focus, you might slip up here and there, and if you slip up here at Bathurst, the wall is easily found. Let me put it this way, Jack. It's easier to crash than to pass.
Absolutely. I think that needs to be printed on a shirt and be worn by every driver that's currently competing today.
Do with that what you will.
Yeah. And a point I'd like to make early, because I've been excited about it ever since I hopped into the practice session. At the moment, every single manufacturer that is eligible for this series is represented on circuit right now, except for Audi. That is the only car that's missing. Everyone else is here. Every single manufacturer. And I think that is absolutely awesome. A good representation of what the LFM BOP, which is the BOP we're using for this series, seems to do. It means to make a lot of things viable, and everybody sort of gets to drive what they want. rather than maybe what the meta car is.
Fantastic to see, especially also fantastic to see Kevin Boss not prioritizing work over RCI like we discussed last time, which is fantastic to see. Dutchman has finally come to its senses, I suppose. And so Kevin Boss currently driving P16, see if he can improve. 2.3 seconds is the gap to pole position. He only has to improve 1/10 and a bit more to get up 2 more positions and get himself into P14. But knowing the Dutchman, he definitely has some pace within that Nissan, especially in the race, because Jack, we just had a conversation about POP. This Nissan GTR, or at least I suppose so, has an insane amount of top speed, which is very crucial for overtaking. Because, well, there aren't, I mean, I was just talking about overtaking opportunities and I was mentioning straights. I didn't mention any corners, I was mentioning straights, because those are the only overtaking opportunities you really are going to get.
Yeah, I mean, you can maybe work out something on the braking zone into the corner. We just saw Kevin go through that's turn 21. That is the chase, that section of corners. Maybe you can work something out in the final corner here. Maybe you can work something out in turn 1, but I would entirely agree with you. It is done on straights. You set up a move through the corners as you're going up and down the mountain. You get as close as you can. You do everything you need to do to put off the driver ahead of you, and then you make your move on the straights. Miso Stubna, though, our 4th place driver, I call him that because he's in 4th in championship. He's finished in 4th every race this season, is actually currently in 3rd in qualifying. Last laps are going to be the ones on the board. Most of our drivers are in pit lane. See if they can better their time. Actually, they're currently up on their timing sheet right now. It is a very small margin between them and starting on the front row. No driver behind is really improving all that much. Philip Ria's up by a little bit, but not enough to challenge for a front row or indeed second row spot. Stubna's still up. He doesn't need to be up by much.
He does not.
Long straight into the chase section. Brilliant corner.
It's genuinely insane. He's qualified in rounds 4, round 5, 4 and 3 in P4. He has finished all rounds in P4. But the curse might be broken, Mr. Stupna, if he doesn't miss the apex of the final corner. His time will be set on the board. P3 it is. P3 he stays. Mr. Stupna, he was on for an improvement, but he stays in P3. What can John Dalton do? Can John Dalton maybe demote Mr. Stupna to a 4th spot? Who knows? The nearly on pace driver is coming through the last corner in that Porsche. Gets the accelerator down. Right foot down. John Dalton shoots up to, well, he doesn't shoot up. He stays P5, Jack.
Yeah, he does stay P5. It's Stubna. Both Stubna and Dalton lost all the time they had gained in that final corner.
Wow.
Martin Lawrence is on the pole. Joining him on the front row is Nico Kumpu. Miso Stubna in 3rd. We'll see if it ends up 3rd. We'll see if it ends up 4th. I don't know. I'm maybe kind of praying for another 4th position. It just feels more appropriate. Andy Boardman starting in 4th position. John Dalton 5th. Philip Ria 6th, Raphael Huell 7th, Aaron Jackson 8th, Adam Krexke, the young phenom, starting in 9th. Matt Malcolm having a very good qualifying today, getting himself all the way up into 10th. Arga 11th, Roskem 12th, Kirton 13th, Regibi 14th, Boss 15th, Doobie 16th, Valu 17th, Redford 18th, Armstrong 19th, and Dauber 20th, of course, because they didn't put in a qualifying time. Well, actually, Lily Armstrong did put in a qualifying time, and we did some strategizing before the race, and I told Lily, hey, go out and put in a non-competitive lap because that'll guarantee you're going to be one ahead of Joe Dauber. And well, it seems that's what they've done. Maybe got a little bit of practice in, got their eye in, but a qualifying session done and dusted, Dan. And it is absolutely almost time for our race.
It for sure is. You know, we can't also ignore the fact that Martin Lorenk has taken pole position by 5/10. He is also, coincidentally, the championship leader, Martin Lorenk. He can win the championship today, but he can still lose the championship as well. It's Bathurst, it's chaos. He might crash. Who knows? So might Nico Kumpu, the man in P2 in the Ferrari, doing a stellar job all season. Well, he's going to be the best of the rest after Martin Lorenk. But the fight for P2 remains. P2, P3, Rafael Hull in P3. Only 2 points away from Nico Kumpu. Mr. Stupna, only 8 points away from Nico Kumpu, 6 points away from Rafael Hull. It's going to be an absolute feast watching this championship battle unfold. Then it's Andy Boardman in P5, Joe Darber, and I pronounced his name correctly for the first time all year, in P6. Peter Vaga in P7 with 162 points behind his name. Then it's the first Dutchman in this list, Emma Plate in P8, followed by Mike Redford. John Dalton in P10 is almost in the John Dalton zone, even in the general standings. Followed by Thibaut Roskam in P11, Mike Vauxhall in P12, Oliver Curter, Hugo Dubu, Philip Arriha in P15, and then the second Dutchman, Kevin Bos in P16. Matt Malcolm, the Scotsman, finds himself in P17 in the general standings in his McLaren, followed by Philip Kampetix in P18, Andrei Batak in P19, and Adam Kraske, the Swedish driver, rounds off the top 20. As we head to the grid, Jack.
Yep, the patented Ash Bibby drone grid walk. And for the first time this season, we get to see Martin Lawrence's livery. He's been just in a black BMW, sorry, not black BMW, black Bentley all season. And he finally got everything uploaded properly. And that is a championship winning car, if I do say so. Love a little bit of black and gold. Super good looking on the boat. Nico Kumpu, though, I mean, I feel like everybody knows this livery at this point. We see it so much. We see it running at the front. An incredible driver, an incredible livery, an incredible color scheme. And for whatever reason, whenever I see Miso Subna's car, the one we're looking at right now, I think about Kermit the Frog. Don't know why. Could be because it's green. But it just makes me think of Kermit the Frog. And Andy Boardman, of course, keeping it simple, keeping it stylish. A little bit of red, a little bit of splash of black. Nothing wrong with that. The 296 is already a good-looking car. And here's Dalton in the unbelievably shiny and gorgeous Porsche. And I'm being told he does a good Kermit the Frog impression. So maybe if we hear from him after the race, I'll have to remember to ask him about the Kermit the Frog impression. Here's the best of the Lexuses. That's Philip Rhea. And then Raphael Huell, who I must say, Danny, doesn't seem to perform all that well in qualifying. I know he doesn't love this circuit. He's not the most comfortable on it, but we're not used to seeing him just a little bit higher on the standings. But there is an hour to go for him to better his starting position.
There's an hour to go. There's also 90 minutes of Bathurst to go. So indeed, everything can still happen. Scotsman Matt Malcolm, I'm quite sure, incredibly happy with his qualifying session. He went in last race without any practice. Didn't go so well for the Scotsman, but maybe a P10 on the cards here. Ferrari of Peter Vaga, he teased it. He did tease it. He was going to run another special livery in Bathurst, and so he will. We looked at the fantastic livery by Peter Vaga, as we have Thibaut Roskam, always very noticeable yellow. And I mean, Jack, can we talk about the Honda? Fantastic Williams livery. I absolutely adore that livery, Jack.
Oh, it's so good. It's the old, I think FWT, whatever it's called. It's absolutely phenomenal. But I've been waiting for this ever since we started the drone walk, which is Lily Armstrong's AMG. I saw it briefly in the practice session, and it is not a car that's going to be missed at any point. It shines like no other. The very much anime liveried AMG is starting from the back of the field. Is going to fight their way forward along with Joe Dauber. Probably going to be a bit of a fight between the two in the opening stages, but the flag's been waved for the formation lap. It's going to be a long formation lap already. Drivers obviously going to be pushing to warm their tires, but obviously not pushing it too hard. No sense in tapping a wall before the flag is even raised. But it's our championship leader, Dan. It's Martin Lawrence. It's Czech Jesus leading the field.
Jesus leading field. You know, it's not leading the field, and he's going to start from pit lane. It's George Darber, the man who doesn't qualify, the man who does normally put his car last on the grid, but doesn't, well, at least I haven't seen, start from pit lane. George Darber will start in pit lane. I'm not sure, maybe he's taken a bet from his teammate Lily Armstrong, last to first in pit lane. I doubt it. I mean, you still have Martin Lawrence if you want to get to P1, and we all know how fast Martin Lawrence can be. I mean, he qualified 5 tenths away, more than 5 tenths away from Nika Kumpu, who is currently driving in P2. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jack. Hasn't he gotten all pole positions in this season so far?
Except for round 1. He was not here for round 1, which is incredible that his championship charge has been the way it is, considering he showed up in 5 races out of 6. But of the races he's contested, I think, I'm trying to remember, I think maybe it was round 3, he also wasn't on pole, but he quickly got up to the front of the field.
He was on pole in round 3.
Oh, well, one of the rounds, I think.
In round 2.
Round 2, that's right. That was qualifying in the wet at Laguna Seca.
Yes.
I remember that. I believe it was
Andrzej Bartek.
That's right, Andrzej Bartek, who actually spun it on the formation lap.
Oh.
And did not start from the lead. That's why I feel
wow.
like I remember Martin Lawrence starting from pole, because he effectively did.
Yes.
It shows how important the formation can be, not just about repping your car, it's also about focusing, not making any mistakes, making sure everything's set up as need be. Is your strategy ready? Is your mind right? You're taking one last look at these walls and thinking about maybe avoiding them for 90 minutes. I know I would be. I'd be crossing my fingers and toes on the formation. You know, I'm wondering if Joe Dauber either was told to start from pit lane, or is maybe expecting a bit of a calamity on the opening lap, and starting from pit lane, you get a bit of distance between you and the rest of the field. Maybe he's thinking, if something goes terribly wrong, it will be dealt with by the time I show up.
Do you think so? I mean, if there's a pile-up, you're going to catch that pile-up either way, but obviously you do have some more time to react. It's questionable. It's full with risk, but I guess we like a little risk. Also, Hugo Duby also in pit lane. Why the Frenchman is now in pit lane, I have absolutely no clue. Maybe he thought of going to start last as well. Or did he just simply have an accident? I have no clue, but well, the last corner is almost reached, Jack. I'm gonna give the last start of this championship over to you.
Oh boy. Well, I'm hoping for a good one. Just for everybody who's not quite as familiar with this circuit, turn 1 is called Hell Corner. That's about if that's any indication of what these race starts feel like and what any of these laps feel like in this type of machinery, that's all you need. It's Martin Lawrence leading from pole for the last time. Is it going to be championship glory, or is it going to be an early meeting with the barrier? Green flag should be waving any moment for the final time. The GT3 Masters are underway. Round 6 out of 6. It's a great start from Martin Lawrence, immediately taking the racing line. Not worrying too much. It's mostly 2 wide. No 3 wide action coming through turn 1. All clean coming through. Our 2 drivers in the pit lane coming out in the back of shot. There's Dauber and there's Duby coming around. Nothing too crazy going back. Very restrained from our drivers, knowing that there's 90 minutes and you're not going to win the race in turn 1. Oh, as I say that, Raphael Huel gets a little bit. Oh no! Piling up in the back and shot. I think Raphael Huel starting to go around, tagged a couple of drivers. It's yellow flags everywhere. There's a Lamborghini backwards. There's a Porsche backwards. Hugo Duby's coming through. Dauber's coming through as well. Raphael Huel pulls over.
Oh, it's done. It's done. It's done for the German driver already, Raphael Hull, who lost it in the second turn at Corey Bend. He did not survive the bend to the right, even though I must admit it's the same name as at the back of his car. It's the bend, and he crashes at Corey Bend. Quite ironic, but that doesn't matter for Raphael Hull because he's out of the race. Anyway, oh my god, Peter Vaga just cutting through the S's there, definitely getting an off track. Is that Miro Ragubi, the Ford driver with a not so streamlined front end? What's happening here? That's the car, that's the Kevin Boss of Really Slow Racing Team, who's had a slow exit, slow S's. Who knows what's happened to the Dutchman? He's on his way already, but he has a Ford Mustang who will not catch a kangaroo at this section of the track, Jack.
Yeah, no, it's a bit of argy-bargy coming through. I've already noticed Lily Armstrong, an incredible start, coming from 19th all the way up to 11th before the first lap is even done. Field starting to spread out just a bit as a result of that early pileup, with the fastest hands in the West clearly reacting perfectly to everything that went on. And just look at the inputs here. All right, that looks fairly normal on the steering. These corrections are very quick, Dan. I wonder what's going on. Could it be that Lily Armstrong doesn't drive on a steering wheel? That is in fact correct. Lily Armstrong is RCI's premier gamepad driver. Unbelievable speed, able to race with some of the best, and does it all on a controller. It is unbelievable, and it is one of my favorite things to mention whenever I see them in a race. And it's just unbelievable the precision that they have on that controller. It is a very nice controller, I will say. It's not some cheap $20 GameStop job. No, it's about best controller money can buy, but still the finesse, Dan, that comes from that is unbelievable, especially on a circuit such as this.
My mind, as a driver myself, cannot comprehend how you can relatively compete with anyone on a controller, yet Lily Armstrong proves me wrong, because he definitely can. I've commentated plenty of times on Lily Armstrong driving with a controller. RIST, Honda and the sex of Oliver Kitten misses the S's there. Oh, this is going to get tight, but Lily Armstrong makes the move nonetheless out of the S's. Fantastic move by the man who Jack just mentioned doesn't drive with a steering wheel. How can he keep the car on track when going for a move on the outside into the dipper? Well, we've seen it. We've not seen a miracle. We've just seen Lily Armstrong doing what he can do best.
Yeah, absolute skill, absolute precision, super well spotted. You know, you see a little bit of a mistake. You know the corners that are coming up next. Oh, why not? Let's try to squeeze on through here. Super well done move. That promotes Lily Armstrong up to 10th position already. If we're going to be seeing a race replay of the start, maybe a bit of what caused it. Oh, it's a little bit of contact between Malcolm and Huell. That's what spun him round. And it's just everything breaks down quickly in the background. Maybe a bit of misjudgment on the brakes. Maybe scrubbed a bit wider. I mean, Huell left just enough space, but ultimately not enough. Here's the Lamborghini driver coming up to the back and just, I think, wrenches the wheel to the left, slams on the brakes to try to avoid any further collision. Nicholas Vayu is at the back of the field, or towards the back of the field, and sort of maybe trying to recertify their driving style, maybe calm down just a bit and keep it going. 5 minutes in, still plenty of time to move around. Boardman's off to a good start. So is Dalton. Easter Stubna might have had a good qualifying, but back closer on the other side of third position. Yeah, a bit of a wiggle coming up to the crest. It's unbelievable. Just the braking zone going down into the S's it's heart-wrenching stuff. It's absolute commitment. And once you get it right, you're a hero. And once you get it wrong, you're an absolute fool. Straight into the wall. But Boardman, hot on the heels of John Dalton, who's hot on the heels of Nico Kumpu.
Hold on, because it's gone all wrong for the Nissan GTR of Kevin Bos. If I'm not mistaken, yes, he's had an incident coming into Skyline there, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, Oh no, he's lost the car, and in the process of losing that car, Kevin Boss, he's also hit Joe Darber. I'm not sure what happened to Joe Darber. He's still going on track, as he's actually right behind the car of Mike Redford. So Joe Darber maybe not sustaining a lot of damage from that incident with Kevin Boss, but heartbreak and drama for the Dutchman, who's currently driving with big damage in P17. I hope he can get some of the damage repaired, or at least try and finish this race. But I can tell you, out of personal experience, the Nissan GTR already is about as Joey Darber. I was thinking he was going for a move there. He was eyeing it up, but maybe trying to scare Mike Redford. Didn't work though. He's still P14. But look at that Nissan GTR in the straight line speed that Nissan has compared to the Ferrari. It's absolute insanity. He's almost overtaken Mike Redford before the beginning of the corner, and so he does. Joe Darber does go through as he gets a massive oversteer moment, and now Mike Redford goes back through. Amazing fight here for P14, P13, the wooden spoon, I like to call these positions, but they're fighting like it's going to, it's about P1, and well, we see Mike Redford now from the rear wing perspective, and that Nissan is definitely going to inch closer again on the straight, Jack.
Yeah, it was unbelievable fighting. Definitely looked like a fight worthy of a championship, and not for P12. Oh, there's backwards. I think that's Ragibi in the Ford, completely backwards right before the S's. I don't know how he got there, but fortunately, he seemed like he was off the racing line. Miro Ragibi is in pit lane now. We'll see what happened. Was it assisted? Maybe. Oh, it was just a bit too much curve on the entry and spun it round in the gravel. That is not a great place to be parked. Good reactions from the drivers ahead, staying out of the way. It does make sense that Ragibi ends up back in pit lane after something like that. It's pretty tricky to get the car turned around after that incident without causing an absolutely massive crash. Here comes Dauber, maybe again, thinking about it on the brakes against Redford. He doesn't quite have the braking power, it seems. Well, no, Redford goes a little bit deep. Might be a bit of a switchback by Dauber. Dauber's going to go for the switchback. It's going to be around the outside of the final corner. He is just ahead of the braking zone. That straight line speed, even on a straight like that, is something to behold. Joe Dauber up to 12th position at the start of the lap. And I think this fight between the pair is going to keep going maybe for a little while. This has been an absolute treat early on in the race. And something I would like to mention, I noticed during the replay between the Dauber-Boss incident, it looked like actually that Joe Dauber maybe tapped Kevin's car just a tad on the rear, and that's what got him as unsettled as he was. See if we can get a replay of it. Yeah, that's a little bit of a tap, and that's what bounces him wide and into the wall. So wasn't exactly losing it on his own, just a bit assisted. But fortunately, Kevin Boss still moving. And actually, Dan, Andy Boardman's in the pits all of a sudden. I'm wondering if he sustained damage. He was running at the top of the field, and ooh, that's not a good time to pit. The pit lane window isn't open, so he will have to go down again. This must be an emergency damage repair.
Yeah, that must be an emergency damage repair. We've, well, I want to say we've had 3 DNFs so far. Thibaut Roscoe still going strong, trying to finish the race, which is really, really good to see. Thibaut Roscoe in the Porsche, he's just a lap down, I think. But now Lily Armstrong, overtake after overtake, maybe an overtake for the McLaren this time. The driver in the Mercedes gets next to the McLaren of Kreske, gets by before the chase corner even begins. The Swedish driver, driving very mature there, knows Lily Armstrong is just a bit faster, and maybe the Swedish driver can now drive with Lily Armstrong in his slipstream to the next McLaren, Malcolm, having a fantastic race so far. Big incident. The French driver, Hugo Duby, is he going to spiral into the car of Kevin Boss? Seems so. Hugo Duby, the French driver, even more wall taps for the French driver. Currently in P16. It's probably the end of his race, Jack.
Yeah, and here we see Miso Stubno, which after Boardman going into pit lane has been promoted up to 4th position, but that's not enough. for Miso Stubna. Now I'm remembering why this car reminds me of Kermit, and of course it's because it's the Kermit Motorsport car. And I just completely forgotten that. But Miso Stubna chasing John Dalton up the mountain, maybe losing a bit to the Porsche. I'm wondering though if there's a bit more straight line speed that the Aston has that the Porsche doesn't. Seems to be a bit of give and take on this circuit with every single car, but both drivers not giving any. Coming over the bump, maybe a bit too quick for John Dalton, but no, he looks perfectly composed coming through down the S's into the Dipper. Such names because they sure do dip. This car is coming down. It's one of the most important corners on the circuit because it sets you up for the back straight. I'm so excited. I can't even speak, Dan. I'm elated by this race start. It's been fantastic here at Bathurst, and hopefully everything that the drivers have been hoping for all season.
Well, some drivers will. Some drivers definitely not. I can name a few. The man who's currently trying to break his curse, Miro Stupna, as we switch back to Martin Laurent, because his lead is already 4.5 seconds, if I recall from the Delta, 5 seconds even. Martin Laurent is on an absolute streak, and even though Nico Kumpu is driving in P2 as best he can, it's not going to be enough for the championship if it stays this way. And I think Martin Laurent now coming up to Andy Boardman. If Andy Boardman isn't quick, he might be a little bit of an issue for Martin Laurent because he's absolutely fast, and I'm quite confident that Bentley can catch up to the back of that Ferrari in absolute no time. 1 hour and 17 minutes and 13 seconds remain, and Martin Laurent is still extending his lead. And Stupna still in P4. Now he's overtaken John Dalton for the third spot in this race. Surely on the straight, on the mountain straight, maybe into Quarry Bend. Well, maybe we'll get a replay of that. But Miso Stupna, the man who's currently trying to break his P4 curse, he's actually accomplishing it.
Yeah, he is indeed. I just did a little bit of math on the fight for P2 between Stubna and Kumpu. Now that Raphael Huell is out of this race early, it sort of makes the math a little bit easier. So what would need to happen is Miso Stubna would need to finish second, and Nico Kumpu would need to finish in fourth. That delta being about 8 points would be swung by 11 points with that finishing position. So some work to do for Miso Stubna, and maybe a bit of misfortune from the part of Nico Kumpu. I think it's just, yeah, you see that Porsche's getting a little bit smaller in that rearview mirror as they go down the Conrad straight. Not by so much. Really closing in John Dalton as they come in. Closing in on the brakes, though. The mighty Porsche brakes doing well to keep Dalton in contention. This fight is absolutely not over. I wouldn't believe that it's already 15 minutes that have passed. There's been plenty going on, plenty to keep us busy up here. I'm sure plenty to keep the stewards busy down below. I'm sure they're still working on what the heck happened on lap 1. Here's Olivier Kierton on Krexke, thinking about it on the final corner, and gets the overlap done, clearly setting up well through the chase section and just running that NSX beautifully through the final corner and doing well to stay ahead of Krexke and the McLaren. More McLarens getting attacked. This time, Lily Armstrong in the AMG. Lily Armstrong, I knew they had a lot of pace in practice. I saw it. They were one of the quicker drivers, but this is unbelievable. Absolutely dicing up the field from the very back. And Dan, you never really want to see a car chasing you, especially as you're trying to go up Bathurst. But the big gawping mouth of the AMG, I just feel like it's a lot scary of a prospect if you're Matt Malcolm.
Especially if you're Matt Malcolm and you have Lily Armstrong behind you, you're probably scared already because you know that guy's driving on a controller and you're driving on a wheel. And Lily Armstrong is faster on a controller than most of the drivers currently are on a wheel. And Matt Malcolm is definitely looking in his rear view mirrors now. I mean, he can just see Lily Armstrong inching closer to almost every corner. He loses a little bit of time to the Dipper, and then he needs to catch it all back up here on the back straight of this fantastic track. It's like, what is this, 1 kilometer long of just flat out driving when you have the little bend just before the chase. But for sure, that big prowling Mercedes can definitely gain some time in on the straights compared to Lily Armstrong. Although I must admit, out of experience, that McLaren isn't slow on the straights either.
No, it doesn't seem like it, especially just seeing how it's looked this season. A lot of times when it's on a straight, it seems to pull a bit better than maybe you'd expect. It's certainly not in Mustang or Lexus levels of straight line speed, or indeed the GTR on this circuit, but it's certainly no slouch. Is that going to have to be done in the corners by Lily Armstrong? We're the same place we were last lap around. Is it a better exit out of the first corner? Is it just getting a little bit closer using the slipstream? Not really close enough for any sort of move just yet, but it is a long straight, but not going to be close enough. Something else that's also worth mentioning, not only is our Malcolm and Armstrong keeping each other company on circuit, they're also keeping each other company in a Discord call right now. They were some of the drivers I was talking to before, and I wonder, I mean, Dan, if you're racing against somebody that you're able to talk to, are you the kind of person who will maybe play some mind games, be like, "Ooh, I'm gonna go for it. Ooh, I'm gonna do this," or is it just full silence, full concentration?
Yeah, I mean, out of experience as well, whenever there's like a huge pileup or something going on, and I'm within the call with someone, I am normally the one to scream, to just go on fully swearing, like, oh my god, what has just happened, and then the other guy probably gets distracted and puts it in the wall because of me. So that's the person I am. But normally, whenever I'm not crashing, or a crash in front of me doesn't happen and I'm screaming like hell let loose, I'm pretty concentrated, and I'll just shut up and drive.
I'm the kind of driver who absolutely, if something happens in front of me, I will scream like I've just been stabbed. I let out some impressive noises when things go around in front of me, but I talk constantly when I'm driving a car. For whatever reason, whenever I'm in a sim rig and I'm going for a race and I should be concentrating, I concentrate better when I'm just sort of talking to myself. And even if I don't have anybody to talk to, I will still talk to myself throughout the race, which is I imagine why most people don't like sitting in a voice chat with me, but that's neither here nor there.
It's probably also why you're a commentator.
Could be. I do certainly like talking about racing, hence my disposition to be here every single moment I can. But Dalton now still right on the back of me, so Stubna. It's not going to be a comfortable third or holding for third that Stubna might have wanted. It's going to be a fight. Fourth position is never far behind the Aston Martin driver. It is here to say a lot of support for a lot of different drivers in the YouTube chat, which is wonderful to see. And someone mentioning what's going on with Adam Krexka, because he seemed to have pace in qualifying. It seems to be dropping back now, and I'm wondering if he got involved in the early race pileup. He was in the right sort of on the right track position to be involved, and I'm wondering if Krexka is carrying a bunch of damage maybe to the pit stop. I have a feeling several drivers are doing exactly that. They're carrying damage until the pit window opens. They can serve their stop and they can go for a repair. That's certainly what I think about doing. A 5-second penalty for Matt Malcolm. I think that might have been for the lap 1 turn 2 incident with Huel, the one that started it all. But, damn. It just got a bit more interesting with this pair, because now they have a Lexus. Matt Malcolm's in a V8 sandwich. Well, I guess they're all V8.
Isn't the McLaren a V6?
It's a V8.
It's a V8. All right. Well, you know the cars better than I do. But what I do know about the Lexus is that when you look at the Lexus, I've said this before, it looks like an absolute aerodynamic brick. Just built like a brick, no downforce. but somehow Philippe does make it work. It has some straight line speed, although he doesn't have slipstream, which isn't fantastic for the Jack driver, currently B6. But it was also not fantastic for Lily Armstrong. He was constantly attacking the McLaren, especially because the McLaren didn't have a slipstream, and the Mercedes is, you know, they're on average, but if you have a slipstream, it's obviously always better. Philippe carrying a little bit of damage. You could see it at the front as well. And now Matt Malcolm around the outside of Quarry Bend. Surely not, no. Goes a little bit wide, and now Lily Armstrong says goodbye. Two others are fighting for one bone, and I'll just overtake one guy. But he needs to overtake one guy more. Lily Armstrong, the man who's now in P7, needs to chase down P6, and now he has the benefit of the slipstream, more so than Philippe. Oh, touches there with the ball, and that gives Lily Armstrong a chance. Oh my god, is he going to keep it on track? Philippe, the Czech driver, yes he is, but he's going to lose 2 places in the process, Jack.
Yeah, he does. That's just something that can happen. You sort of tap the wall once, it puts you offline just a bit. You're not able to slow down because it's a race after all. You got a car right behind you. You try to gather it all up, and then it's wall to wall to wall. Philippe falling back several positions. And it's good news for Lily Armstrong, giving a bit more free headway to get out ahead of the McLaren driver. Another penalty that's been dropped is Joe Dauber with the incident with Kevin Boss. That's a 10-second penalty is what our stewards have deemed for that. Well, I guess it is a perfect reminder to tell everybody that we do have live stewarding. We've had it for the entire season, and today is probably going to be one of their busiest days of the season. Already plenty of things going on for them to look at, plenty of incidents, plenty of bits of contact, but not many big penalties so far. I say Lily Armstrong up to 6th in about 23 minutes time. It's like they might have the pace to, I mean, it would be a bit incredible to see Lily Armstrong maybe up for the fight for podium with Dalton and Stubna, but I don't know, Dan, I feel like the pace is there, and that could be something to look forward to towards the end of the race.
Philippe coming into pit lane now. We just saw a Jack driver touching the walls, touching a wall actually, and well, his car didn't like that with the damage he already had sustained at the start, and now it's maybe game over for Philippe. It could be an emergency stop just to repair the damage. He's going to lose a ton of time though, because the pit window hasn't opened yet, so he needs to make another pit stop after this. The man who profits, and not only Adam Kreske, but also Oliver Curtin profits from that little incident as well. The Belgium driver in the fantastic Williams FW11 livery, at least I think this is FW11. Fantastic livery on a Honda NSX, on a GT3. He'll need the speed of that F1 car, or at least the grip of an F1 car, to keep the Swedish driver and Kreske behind. Joe Dauber, also not slow either, who's currently in 10th place. Yes, with a 10-second penalty, but pressure is a very big factor. If Joe Dauber can put any pressure on Adam Kreske and Oliver Curtin, and they make a mistake because of the pressure, well, then those 10 seconds don't mean anything anymore to Joe Dauber. And I must admit, Jack, when you see that big, very huge, built like a brick Nissan GT3 in your rearview mirrors, I mean, I'd get pretty scared.
Oh, I'd be terrified. I'd be shaking in my boots. You know that thing's already a bit of a rocket in a straight line, and you know that someone's only really driving it if they really enjoy driving it. Chances are probably pretty good at it. When it comes to Joe Dauber, he is very, very good at it. We do have confirmation in the YouTube chat from none other than Adam Krekske's mom saying that it is a heavily damaged McLaren that her son is driving, and that he's just sort of managing until that pit window opens up, trying not to lose too many positions. But I think another position is going to be taken. A little bit of a defensive mover from Kreske. We'll see if Dauber can go around the outside of Quarry Bend. He holds it, but it's just so difficult to do. He actually keeps it together, keeps it out of the wall, but a good stout defense from Kreske. I mean, you sort of know that if you hold someone back in turn 2, they're not really going to get a good chance to make a move till about turn 20. So it's a good chance and a very mature decision to go for a bit of a defense there. Hold up Joe Dauber for a little bit longer. Maybe you know that move's coming, but there is that 10-second penalty. That could play into it. And also, bit of good racing fun. After all, it is in your best interest as a sim racer to just have a little bit of fun with it, Dan. And I think they're having fun. Maybe a little bit of Code Brown here and there, but general enjoyment.
Obviously, Joe Dauber, he thought going around the outside, well, let me just lick the stamp and absolutely send it. Good defensive move, like you said, Jack, but it's about the 10-second time penalty. It's a very valid point, Adam. If he just keeps Joe Dauber at bay, like he's going to try and do now, Joe Dauber does have the inside coming into the chase, and that this GTR is very fast on the straight, touches the grass a little bit. This is going to get tight for the GTR and the McLaren as well, but the Swedish driver prevails and stays in P9 and goes defensive once again. Adam Kreske knows Joe Dauber is faster, but still has that 10-second penalty, which could be crucial. The man who's currently laughing his eyeballs out is Oliver Curtin. He can just get away from this pack, but Joe Dauber now on the inside surprised the McLaren for sure, and the Swedish driver has to yield this time around, and now the Nissan GTR can go flat out onto Oliver Curtin, the Belgian driver, in that beautiful Honda NSX.
Yeah, it was a very good defense. Nothing too drastic, nothing too quick. Very good, steady moves, and sort of moved over to be defensive. Thought, oh, Dauber's not going to take this. I'm sitting in the middle of the circuit. Surely he's not going to try to dive for the middle. And the thing that you see often, or I see often in my sim racing endeavors, is somebody makes their defensive move, realize they haven't covered all the space, and then feel the need to move again. That's just not allowed. That is illegal. And Kreske having the maturity and maybe also knowing that it's possibly not a fight worth fighting to this level, doing all the right things, placing the car as well as they could, but I'd say, much better shape, much less damaged GTR of Joe Dauber coming on through. A very, very solid fight. We're here with Mike Redford now, sort of towards the back of the, well, I'd say he's very much at the back of the field that didn't meet with the wall too heavily early on, and sort of showing that keep it out of the wall, you keep it reasonably consistent. Maybe you don't need to be the quickest, but he's currently sitting in 11th position, and there's certainly something to be said for that. Keep it on the circuit, keep it alive, and even a driver like Kevin Boss, just a position behind. I mean, he was backwards and in the wall in the early stages of the race, but by not making any more mistakes on top of that, still a good position, a good points playing position if this were the end of the race. But of course, Dan, it's not. We are only half an hour into this 90-minute special, and what is there to say other than look at that driver go, look at that Bentley fly.
15 seconds is the gap, ladies and gentlemen. 30 minutes, 14 laps. That's more than a second, just about more than a second each lap that Martin Lorenk is lapping faster than Nico Kumpu, as well as Stopna, as Martin Lorenk now catches that Porsche. That must be Thibaut Roskam in the 96 car. Will Thibaut Roskam, the Belgian driver, give way to Martin Lorenk, or does he say, no, you have to pass me another way around? No, very fair. The Porsche driver lets the leader by with almost exactly 1 hour remaining. You know, we were just talking about being consistent, just driving, even though an incident has happened, just keep driving like Kevin Boss did. As the pit window also opens for 30 minutes. There's one positive thing that all of these drivers don't have to think about, Jack. Can you guess it?
Not hitting kangaroos?
Yes, we could be twins, you and I. Not hitting kangaroos. Indeed, Jack.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about any wild animals hopping on the circuit and having a collision with them at X amount of miles an hour. And uh, I just think back to the image of the driver when he got out of the car, and I think it was a news clipping. I don't remember the driver's name. It was like they were covered in some kind of fluid, and
Yes,
that fluid was kangaroo blood. That was
organs.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was such an impact that destroyed the front of that Mustang GT3, and I'd caution you, if you don't like bits of animal, don't go look it up. But it is an incredible sight, and leads to the unpredictability of not just this circuit but just racing in general.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we don't really race a lot in Australia and New Zealand, so you know, these things happen. But I find it absolutely, I just find it a miracle that because the organization of the actual Bathurst Hours, they put fences around the track to keep kangaroos at bay. But it can happen that a kangaroo finds an opening or just simply jumps higher than the actual fence, and then gets to a point where he apparently needs to cross the track. And you know, the kangaroo also has eyes, he has ears, he hears thundering, rumbling cars, very loud, you know, on this straight. But still he thinks, you know, I'm just gonna try and cross, even though with all these fast things crossing the road as well. I'm just gonna try it, you know, you have to admit, pretty ballsy move as well.
I would certainly say so. I mean, these GT cars, they're not the loudest race cars there are. Well, some of them are. I will say that specifically the Ford Mustang GT3 is an absolute screamer, and I'd say that along with the Porsche are loud enough that well, it'll give you hearing damage. You don't have ear protection in, but yeah, it's just the nature of biology. I mean, certain animals, these racing cars haven't been around for long enough, so kangaroos haven't developed a sense for, hey, that's a bad thing. I want to stay away from that thing. But
Yeah.
well, that kangaroo is not going to make that mistake again. Let's just say that.
No, I mean, I wanted to make a joke that, well, he probably has lost more than his hearing, but that'll do as well. That'll do as well. Well, John Dalton for nearly on pace. Not well. You know, you could just do a little name change, nearly hitting a kangaroo or something when you're driving Bathurst, but nearly on pace it is. John Dalton. Kevin Bos also driving for nearly on pace, currently in P12. We know his story. Collided a few times with the wall, with a driver, and thus he's currently driving in P12. But very, what's the word? Something with stoic. Just keep on driving. Keep on driving, Kevin Bos. As John Dalton is as well. Joe Darber, the Nissan GTR. He's catched up to the Honda NSX, the Swedish driver. Already 5 seconds behind Joe Darber, who Darber overtook not many laps ago. No, 2 laps ago, actually. That's how fast the gaps go here at Bathurst. But Joe Darber now, the 777, coming onto the back of Oliver Keaton. Faster and faster with every turn. 55 minutes remaining. Can Joe Darber overtake the Honda NSX as soon as possible and then create a gap as well? Because he has a 10-second penalty, Jack.
Yeah, it's all about minimizing damage. I mean, he's probably going to go down pit lane in the next 10, 15 minutes, and the more positions he gets ahead, the further he can get clear of any traffic, the sort of worse that penalty is going to feel on the go around. But it is super impressive how quickly Dauber went from fighting a McLaren to now being hot on the heels of the Honda. Well, knowing his pace and knowing what he's done so far, I don't think a fight is quite far off. Here's Redford, the next to catch up to the wounded McLaren of Adam Krexke. And I'm wondering if Krexke is, you know, I was expecting him to pit as soon as the pit window came open, but I'm wondering if maybe he's thinking the extra laps might be offset by running a little bit less fuel taking a new set of tires, and he's a bit wide out of the first corner, allowing Mike Redford to come alongside. These two are waving at each other on the back straight. Sorry, not on the back straight, on the mountain straight. Mike Redford is through and up to 10th position as a result. And
no,
I think
Matt Malcolm. I think something has happened to Matt Malcolm. Surely he's coming into pit lane, but you know the rest where he was driving is currently coming, you know, through the dipper, through Fuller's elbow. So somewhere around that position must have driven Matt Malcolm as well. Unless I'm just blatantly wrong and the delta, no, I'm blatantly wrong. The delta just showed him being in pit lane a tiny bit late, I suppose. Matt Malcolm just driving, made his pit stop, can now full throttle, you know, try the undercut on everyone, because that's what essentially what Matt Malcolm is trying to do, get the undercut here. I'm not sure if he has changed tires. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if he hadn't changed tires. Obviously, we have a lot of elevation change. Yes, we have a lot of corners, but we also have an insane amount of straights, Jack. Would you get away here with not changing tires?
I feel like generally you could sort of go without it, but given that this is a sprint race, given that it's all about maximizing pace and the speed at which other drivers are going, they're not really managing the tires at all, I would imagine. They are going to go absolute full throttle from green flag to checkered, so I would 100% throw in a new set of tires and just take the couple more seconds in pit lane, the extra 10 or 15, however long it is, in ACC, and just push, not think about the tires, hope that your temps are in the window, hope that your pressures are good, and just absolutely send it. I think that Dauber's maybe having a bit of issues behind the Honda, or at least he's having to work a bit harder than perhaps some of his other overtakes. And it's this final position, and he'll be right on the back of the, well, I guess last to first compatriot of Lily Armstrong. And maybe there'll be a fight between the two. Lily not having to work too hard to stay ahead of Dauber, as we talked about before the race, but I think this is going to be a move that's going to come sooner rather than later for Joe Dauber. Interestingly, I just noticed it says he has a German flag, and well, I can tell you, Joe Dauber is not, in fact, German.
I know. So. I wanted to call him German, like for a second, and then I was like, Joe Dauber isn't exactly German. Maybe you know, it's revealing a secret. ACC, who knows? Maybe Joe Dauber, you know, now exposes his secret identity in chat. Probably not. Going back to the leader in P1, he is the fastest lap of the race. But Sebastian Brunier comes with the fantastic fact that Martin Lorenk competed in 2 Bathurst 12 Hours teams this weekend. 1 in ACC and 1 in iRacing. We had the fantastic 12 Hours of iRacing as Joe Dauber sends it down the inside of the chase, overtakes Oliver Curtin with a beautiful move there. Very close to contact both, but keeping each other in respects racing wise, and so Joe Dauber completes the move for P7 and hopes to get get the Honda NSX off his back as soon as he can, because he's still carrying that 10-second time penalty, which you will probably what's the term, he'll probably, I don't think he'll. Yeah, you know.
Sorry, I don't know what you're about to say. I can't help you. I feel like
I'm done. My English isn't my first language. Yeah, he's probably going to. Yeah, you know, Jack. Just keep it. I'm gonna use Google Translate for this. Hold on.
Okay. It's Joe Dauber heading up to the mountain. Oh, Google Translate needs to come out. That's how you know the racing is so good that Dan's at a loss for words. He's got to go to Google Translate.
Oh.
Absolutely beautiful stuff. The driving from Joe Dauber, so incredible. It makes a man forget how to speak. But no, just going back to how Martin Lawrence did 2 12 hours, 2 Bathurst 12 hours in the last week. I remember he mentioned that in our post-race interview last week, he was like, I was, sort of egging him on, being like, "Oh, are you gonna practice a bunch for Bathurst?" And he's like, "Oh, well, actually, he's gonna get the most practice of probably anybody else in that he's going to participate on a team in a Bathurst 12-hour." And I think, Dan, remind me, or if you decide to ask him as well, let's remember to ask him how those races went, because I'm curious to see how he and his team did, because if his current pace is any indication, I'm going to assume their teams did quite well. Martin Lawrence now, the gap, well, it's sort of stabilized around 15 seconds there or thereabouts, but he's just the quickest man on the circuit. His lap time, he's the only one who's done a 2:01 in the race so far. Most drivers 2:02s, 2:03s, so it's absolute brutal pace. Sorry, excuse me. His best lap is actually a 2-minute, and everyone else is doing 2:01s or 2:02s. He is just flipping flying and has already lapped some of the field and is coming to lap some more. It's Matt Malcolm and Kevin Boss. And it is a fight for position between Malcolm and Boss, but not as much as you'd expect. Strategy-wise, Malcolm is going to come out ahead regardless. Kevin Boss still needs to pit, and I'm impressed carrying as much damage as he is. Unless he came in for a repair, Dan. I don't remember. But have you found your word?
Are you ready? Are you ready, Jack? All right.
Ready.
Well, Joey Darber needs to stand still in pit lane for 10 seconds to redeem his penalty if he doesn't want to redeem it at the end of the race. Ah, I'm not a washed commentator anymore. Thank God. Kevin Boss coming into the pit lane to actually serve his required pit stop, which he didn't do when he came into pit lane early in this race because of damage repairs. I think I'm quite sure Kevin Boss pitted. I'm actually not quite sure because he probably wouldn't be P12, would he? A lot of people pitted, a lot of people didn't pit. Matt Malcolm now getting overtaken by the leader in this race, Martin Lorenk, who's lapping up, Matt Malcolm, who's lapping up to P11 now. The Lexus he's currently in front of is Riha. Yes, indeed, that's Riha, the Czech driver, had some incident as well. He did pit, and thus Kevin Boss didn't pit, because Riha is P16 and Kevin Boss is P12. He's now in pit lane, so he'll tumble down the order just a little bit. Oh, Riha again touching the wall there, tapping the wall a little bit. And now he needs to make room very soon for Martin Lorenk. But it's so difficult to make room for a driver here. Coming into the dipping, now into forced elbows. He just can't let Martin Lorenk by. Because you just can't here. Because there's dirt, well, there's rubber at the side of the track, at the outside of the track. And the corner just isn't wide enough. But I think Martin Lorenk now wants to desperately get by the Lexus giving him a little bit of a tow. Actually, he doesn't let him by at all. No, he does.
He does eventually lift. I was going to say, it seemed like he was racing him all the way down. It gives a good indication of the straight line of that Lexus, even with a bit of a poorer exit. And the race leader still keeping him just behind. A couple more pit stops are beginning to happen. Lily Armstrong came in. Aaron Jackson has pitted in from 5th place. And here's Thibaut Roskam, the next car, thinking about it on Krexke. Fortunately, though, for Adam Krexke, he has come in for his pit stop, as is Thibaut Roskam. And this pit entry is so fantastic. It matches perfectly to the level of commitment that this circuit requires, that the pit lane itself is a bunch of chicanes. And if you do it wrong, you do it gently, you don't commit, well, you're going to lose time. If you commit too hard, you're going to end up spearing into a wall. It's the most perfect pit lane to match this circuit. But a flurry of pit stops, about half the field has gone down pit road for their mandatory stop. That was Roskam we just saw in. Here's Olivier Kierton, who's been promoted to 6th as due to those pit stops that have come down. We'll see where some of these drivers end up. Nico Kumpu from 2nd is also in pit lane and hasn't had the pace, let's say, to hang with the leader of Martin Lawrence, but certainly has had the pace to stay ahead of Miso Stubna. And Dan, I'm curious. This, second stints are always trickier than the first. You're a little bit more fatigued. You've done more of the racing. Maybe you're relaxing a bit. Maybe you're relaxing a bit too much. But I'm curious to see how the pace might change from some drivers, because I know some drivers are brutally quick on their second stint and not as quick in their first. So
it's really a reset point where you just can forget everything. If you didn't have a great first stint, you think, all right, this stint has done. Let's prove we can drive a good stint, because that's normally your reference point. You've repaired all the damage, you've got the new tires, gotten a new load of nice fresh fuel, and then you can attack your second stint, and it creates a bit of motivation as well. Like I said, especially if you had a little bit of a disappointing first stint, you just want to get out there and prove your worth in your second stint. So some drivers will be, some drivers won't, especially because if you have a good stint, you might think, am I going to have a good stint now? And then, maybe some self-doubt, maybe your confidence drops a little bit, but to be fair, it's pretty far-fetched. If you had a good first stint, your confidence almost always goes up. The leader in this race, Martin Lorenk, gets into pit lane, as does Stubna, as does John Dalton. I want to teach you a little fun fact about the difference between ACC pit lanes and iRacing pit lanes. When you cross the white line in iRacing, we see here, you cannot hit each other anymore. But if you stay above the white line, you can hit each other in Bathurst, which creates for very confusing images and scenarios. In iRacing, not in top split, a car got flipped up on its head in pit lane because of a collision. Our team, I'm driving for an esports team, they're called Maniti. They were also driving in top split, finished P21. If for your iRacing nerds, the SOF was 9.3k, which is absolutely insanity. But our team was in a lower split, directly involved with the incident of a car flipping over its head. Luckily, we weren't the car that flipped over its head, so we were fine. But strange things can happen in sim racing, Jack.
Yeah, strange things indeed. That's one of my favorite things about Le Mans Ultimate is that there is full contact all the time in pit lane, and I don't know. It adds a certain element. Well, once you learn it, it is a rite of passage in Le Mans Ultimate. You jump out of one sim, you jump into that. Your first couple of races, all right, time for a pit stop. All right, cool, that car's parked ahead of my pit box. Awesome, I'm just going to drive through them because there's no contact. And you drive straight into the back of somebody who's in pit lane. It is a rite of passage. And I love that element of having to manage, traffic in a pit lane. There's the fast lane, there's the slow lane. You got to sort of work it out non-verbally with other drivers. And it's such an interesting element. And as you said, it sometimes leads to a bit of shenanigans, a bit of cars on their roof, a bit of things going right and things going oh so wrong. But things are going right for quite a few of our drivers. I have noticed Aaron Jackson came out from 5th position, I believe, 5th or 6th on the cards, and after a very slow pit stop, I think about a good 15-20 seconds longer than everybody else, is down into P8 and sort of has fallen back a bit towards the clutches of Matt Malcolm and maybe fixing a bit of damage, I would assume. Or could be the bane of all ACC drivers' existence, which is maybe missing their pit lane. Sure, Dan, I'm sure you've done it. Have you missed your pit box?
Well, we were talking about iRacing, right? Let me share you a fun story again. Well, it's not a fun story, at least not for me. You're going into the Daytona 24 Hours earlier this year. As we can see, the Greek driver, the Lamborghini, he has repaired his car. But to come back to my point, is you practice a lot for the Daytona 24. you get magically in second split, so just one split of the iRacing highest split flags. Indeed, you're going well. You're P11, and then you're making yourself ready for your stint. Your teammates in the car coming into pit lane, and he misses his pit box. So far, he was at the end of pit lane, and he was like, "Did I miss my pit box?" And I was like, "Yes, you did. I told you your pit box was like at the beginning." Shit. Well, oh, I cast, didn't I? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, YouTube. But at that point, there's no going back. You need to tow your car, so you lose 2 minutes. Then you also need to do a full pit stop, which ends up with you being 2 laps down.
See, now this is the perfect time for me to say my favorite phrase, which is racing is all about fine margins. Every point during a race, you are one moment away from disaster. That disaster could be in pit lane. It could be on the racer. It could be in a wall at the top of a mountain in Australia. Never too far away from anything going terribly wrong. Our last 2 drivers are now in pit lane, Joe Dauber and Olivier Kieran. We'll see where everybody comes at after the penalties. After all, Dauber did have that 10-second, or does have that 10-second to serve in his stop, so another extra weight on top of fueling the car, putting in on some fresh tires. But see, the field hasn't shaken up too much because of pit stops. Of course, Martin Lawrence hasn't dropped back at all. Of course, he is just out in front, comfortable, having as relaxed of a drive as he possibly could around Mount Panorama. It's just been a brilliant season. Other than it, I know you haven't been here for all of it, but just a quick look at the race results and the standing sheets on SimGrid. You know what this season has been like for Martin Lawrence. It's utter domination.
Utter domination. Something we're kind of used to when seeing Martin Lawrence. I mean, he's doing fantastically in a lot of ACC championships we've hosted throughout the years here at RCI, and when I saw his name, I really did expect nothing less from Martin Lawrence. If I remember, he's pretty quick in the Monday Championship I commentated in as well, so not a surprise to see Martin Lawrence at the front of this championship, at the front of this race. Nico Kumpu, I knew as well. I knew Nico Kumpu could be fast. He surprised me a little bit with how fast he's been this season. So credit where credit is due. The Finnish driver doing a fantastic job in that Ferrari, as he's always driving a Ferrari. Experience probably paying off. And you know what? You know what, Jack? I am totally not surprised to see John Dalton in the John Dalton zone.
It is his namesake, after all. It is perhaps his well, I'm not going to say the only market who's left on RCI, but I think the one that gets mentioned most consistently is the John Dalton zone, such named for when you're in a racing position and there's nothing really happening ahead of you. There's a big gap ahead. You're probably not catching them. And there's a big gap behind as well. It is one of the more uncomfortable positions to be in a race, because it's hard to stay focused. It's hard to sort of keep yourself locked in, though I feel like this circuit doesn't let you get too relaxed anyway, so could be worse positions. You could be at I'd say Le Mans is one of the worst. Le Mans and Spa are some of the worst circuits to be in the Dalton zone, because you just get a little too relaxed. Then you start making mistakes and it's all out there. If it's me, I've probably ended up upside down in a wall or in a tree somewhere. But the Dalton zone for John Dalton. 35 minutes remain down. Could see a little bit of a shake-up, some more incidents. Things could happen.
You know, it's so relatable, the John Dalton zone. It even gets mentioned outside of RCI TV. Yes, I did mention it once on stream with a commentator we all know too well in RCI, Adam Reed. I commentated the 6-hour race with him once. 13 cars were on track for the entirety of that 6-hour race. Yeah, so not the most eventful race, as you can imagine. But we did use the phrase, the John Dalton zone, plenty of times at said broadcasting service, which was great banter, as Peter Varga, now the man who's currently driving in last place, wants to overtake the Greek driver, the Lamborghini, just in front of him, bright, and well, you can't miss him. And Peter Varga trying to make a move here for P50 in the absolute wooden spoon of this race, but Peter Varga makes the move stick. The Lamborghini is not beside him, behind him. I think Peter Varga can hold that Lamborghini off as he has overtaken it just in turn 2.
Yeah, a slam dunk move there. I don't think Vayu wanted to fight that one at all. Obviously stayed to the outside, maybe broke a little bit early. It's been a tricky race for Nicholas Vayu. I mean, I saw in the practice session, a bit off the pace, maybe a bit uncomfortable, but nonetheless, staying in the race, showing up, doing their due, and racing the full distance, not put off by any accidents. We're going to go ahead and show up and show out and get it done, and I think that's the right attitude to have, Dan. I think that's, also bless our ears a bit with some V10, as I learned the super depressing fact the other day that there will be no more factory-supported Lamborghini Huracan GT3s in any more races, ever. There might be some, but they aren't a Squadra Corsa supported car, and I think that's depressing because it is the best sounding car in the GT3 field. Don't at me.
Well, I'm gonna leave you. I'm gonna leave this discussion, but one thing I know for certain: Michaelis, the Greek driver, he just saw Martin Lorenc just fly by him, and he's. I bet you the Greek driver is like, wow, if only I could drive as fast as Martin Lorenc. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I bet you can, with the help of our fantastic sponsor, Coach Dave Delta. Coach Dave can help you climb the sim racing ladder with help from their apps, setups, coaching, and more. Find out more by visiting Coach Dave via the link in our description, who's probably somewhere. But that's not all, ladies and gentlemen. We have Ready, Set, Sim. Build the sim rig of your dreams or your budget in seconds with the RSS sim rig builder, available as well from the link below. Shout out to RSS. We also can't forget Greenman Gaming. Score huge savings on PC games, including new releases with Greenman Gaming, by also following the link below. And did I tell you about good quality setups? Well, you also need good quality hardware, which obviously gets provided by our fantastic partners, Moza Racing. Quality direct drive hardware that doesn't break the bank, now including flight sim gear as well. Partners, fantastic, with flight sim gear as well. Check out Moza today from the link in the description. And obviously we want to thank the beautiful partners at Motorsport UK. A special thank you to them for selecting us as a recommended esports community. Back to you, Jack.
Yeah, of course. It's always worth thanking them as much as we can. They help us do what we do here at RCI, help us keep the lights on, help us keep the race cars racing, and we always appreciate them. And if you have any interest, check them out. All their information is in the description below. And now, more V8s. Actually, what cars on this field aren't V8s? The Ferrari 296, that's a V6. The NSX, that's a V6. The Porsches, of course, flat 6. The Nissan also. Are there more V6s than V8s on this circuit? I'm almost getting nervous here. I said something very confident. But I don't know. Dan, you say something. I'm gonna do cylinder math.
Oh, I mean, we just also had championship math. Now here comes cylinder math. One thing I know for certain is Jack is better in math than me. I used to score horribly in math at school. But Jackie Stewart once said to Nick de Vries, you need to be good at math if you want to be a good racing driver. And I'm not good in math. So what does that make me? I do know, my teacher always said, a journalist is really bad at math. So I might be a journalist. Who knows? Mike Redford probably wants to be P10, but currently he's P11, and Adam Kreske, the Swedish driver, wants to take that P10 home, maybe even more, to P9, Matt Malcolm, the Scotsman.
I've done the math, and it does turn out that there are more 6-cylinder cars than 8-cylinder cars. There's 6 V8s and 9 6-cylinder cars, and of course, one glorious, shouty V10. All right, new question for you, Dan.
New question.
Favorite engine, favorite engine configuration. What's it gonna be? Is it a V6? Is it a V8? Is it a straight 6? Is it a V12?
It's
Not
like,
doesn't have to be a racing car. It could just be.
It doesn't have to be a racing car. As Oliver Curtin goes side by side with the Aston Martin of Aaron Jackson, the Britishman in the Aston Martin to the left, trying to overtake the Belgium driver. In the right, William Scarlett, Honda NSX. On the outside, Oliver Curtin tries to defend his P6, but he can't make it stick. I think that's all done and dusted for Aaron Jackson. Yes, indeed. But look at Joe Darber in the number 777 Nissan GTR, definitely not German, but still in P6, the Britishman in P8. Excuse me, Aaron Jackson is in P6. He just overtook Oliver Curtin with a beautiful move. But now Joe Darber, Jack, is coming up on that beautiful rear end.
It is a beautiful rear end. It possibly a better looking rear end than the R35 GTR. Some could disagree with me, but it doesn't look fantastic in a GT configuration. Not nearly as good as the NSX, but here comes Joe Dauber. After his 10-second penalty, he would have probably been ahead of both of these guys, but he's having to do it on track instead, and I must admit, I prefer that. I'm okay with the penalty if it means more racing action we get to see up here. It's the GTR missile versus the... Let's see, we had this discussion last week. Slightly slower than a slightly slower missile, I guess? Thinking about it, in the chase, not having the overlap, not having the power on the brakes, do know Joe Dauber's very good on the run down towards the final corner, getting in the mirrors of Olivier Kieran just a bit. A little bit of psyching going on, very even out of the final corner. They're going to start the next lap, 27 minutes remaining in the race, but it's not going to be a move quite yet. It's reminding me of what this looked like earlier in the race. You know, Joe Dauber just flew up onto the back of Olivier Kieran, but ended up getting stuck behind for a couple laps, Dan, and it's fantastic news for Aaron Jackson because he knows that those two are going to be looking at each other, and that might give him a little bit of room, a little bit of time to just scurry on away.
He needs to be, he can't let the pressure get to him, Olivier Curtin. He's in a sandwich right now. He needs to look ahead and behind him in his rear view mirrors, and it's stressful to do both things at a time. Oh, there goes Aaron Jackson, the Aston Martin, tapping the wall there. Incredibly lucky that he walks away, probably unscathed there, but the Britishman last lap was a 2:04. His best lap is a 2:02. He definitely won't get that best lap with that wall tap. Needs to be careful. Talking about pressure, about keeping your car in one piece, keeping your car consistent. As Adam Kreske, the number 33, the Swedish driver, he's in pit lane, Jack.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, it could be maybe he miscalculated something. Maybe he ended up on the wall again. See a replay. This is Redford and Kreske earlier on in the race. A little bit of tapping rounds, and that would give the answer to that. Oh, it's just misjudgment. And coming back onto the circuit straight into the back of Redford too is going to mean that that's a lot more damage to have to carry, and just a little bit of a mistake from the young driver, maybe a bit of misjudgment, not running a little bit wide, a little bit deeper into the corner than maybe you were thinking. I mean, it is hell corner after all, and a little bit of a hellish mistake between the two. Oh, it's such a good view on the back between Dauber and Kieran. What it looks like from the back of that Aston Martin. A great clean sweep down the inside for Joe Dauber on the NSX. and it didn't take him too long. Couple more laps to go to get that move done. Well, just another lap to go to get that move done for Joe Dauber. And I think, no, not I think, I can guarantee his sights are firmly planted on that Aston Martin of Aaron Jackson ahead. He's getting going, and I wonder, the damage was substantial enough for Krexke to need to come into the pit, but I'm wondering how how Mike Redford feels after a couple too many taps on the booty of his Ferrari.
On the booty, yeah, that's a very good question. That only Mike Redford knows the answer to. You know, I also know the answer to my question you asked earlier, Jack. My favorite engine, probably, and it's a classic. Oh boy, it's a classic one. It's the Typo 055. It's the Typo 055, I should say. It's a 3-liter 90-degree naturally aspirated V10, designed for the Ferrari F1 car, designed in 2005. The screaming engine of that Ferrari is just incredible and not beatable.
That is a good answer. That is possibly one of the best sounding engines. Ash Bibby, our broadcaster, is saying it's a 1.6
It's a rally engine.
Rally engine. Yeah, but they are cool. As far as a spec of engine, the performance that you can get out of some of those, are really, really cool. And they make a lot of whoosh, whoosh, stew, stew noises, and I appreciate that. However, that's not my favorite. My favorite's actually the road car engine that I'll talk about in a moment, because Dauber...
He goes for the move on the inside of Aaron Jackson. Oh, a little bit of contact between the two drivers. But the Nissan surely has the legs on the straight. No, he's pushing Aaron Jackson on the straight, actually. What's happening here? They're trying to create a gap with Olivier Curtin, because that Honda NSX is still lurking about somewhere as he closes the gap. Olivier Curtin, the Belgian driver, under the brakes. So now Aaron Jackson needs to defend, needs to look in his rearview mirrors, because Joe Dauber is still there, maybe on the inside, no things better of it. And does these drivers stay in formation for probably the rest of the middle of this lap, sector 3, 4 and 5, and then on to 6 on that very, very large straight. But it was getting a little bit tight for Aaron Jackson and Joe Dauber. Well, I can tell you who's sweating. Oh, it's Aaron Jackson, who's also going into the grass a little bit. Keep it steady in that Aston Martin. Seems to do it. And so Aaron Jackson still keeps it in control, but has that Nissan GTR lurking about.
Yeah, lurking big and large in the mirrors. It's such a good shot coming off the back of the rear wing. You can see how close everything is, and also how close the circuit is to wherever they are going to be. Olivier Curtin doing a fantastic job holding with them just a bit. You can see the straight line speed of the GTR. He's just closing up to the back of the Aston Martin. He's looking to the inside that then becomes the outside. The door's sort of shut on him. A little bit of moving around from Aaron Jackson. A little bit of a tap in the rear from Joe Dauber, but they both make it through cleanly. But it was a lot of moving for Aaron Jackson, maybe a little bit too much. I think some frustration, a frustrating flash of the lights from Joe Dauber, but Jackson's going to survive another couple of corners at the very least. But Joe Dauber's run out of the final corner was immense. He seems to just be so much quicker than everybody else, planting the power into the braking zone for turn 1. But here's Olivier Curtin now, maybe thinking about having a sniff on the Aston Martin. But it's Dauber up to 6th. And we'll see, it's the 3-long train going down the mountain straight. Is something going to happen in turn 2 in Quarry Corner? I don't know. We'll see in a moment. Nobody's really close to make a move on anybody else just yet, but they're so close. Olivier Curtin, the closest on Aaron Jackson. Jackson clearly feeling the pressure, tapping the wall here and there, a little bit nervous. He did have, Dan, a super lonely race in that first stint. We pretty much didn't talk about him at all, and now he's all over our screens. He's just having to fight for his life. Mount Panorama delivering an absolute treat for us this evening.
Aaron Jackson listening to Staying Alive by the Bee Gees in his Aston Martin so far, because that's probably what he's trying to do, staying alive while being pressured by Oliver Curtin in the number 5 Honda NSX. As what an amazing race we've had so far. But the question that I still have that begs me to be answered, Jack. We were talking about early. Oh God, there got Aaron Jackson again, touching the wall. Ooh, maybe he should stop listening to music if he's listening to music at all. But the question that begs me, Jack, we were talking about talking to yourself while you're racing. Do you also sing?
Not when I'm driving race cars, no, but I do sing when I'm driving my action car very often. I have to drive a lot for work, and occasionally I'll sing the Bee Gees. Once in a while, it'll come on, and I'll get to it. But no, I don't sing behind the wheel of a race car. But well, maybe I sing to myself if I do it. I'll make a little bit of a squeaky, singy sound out of my mouth. But no. Does that mean, do you sing to yourself, Dan?
When I'm racing, no. When I'm like cooking or something, or driving, yes, indeed, I do, and I don't think there's any shame in it. Just, you know, releasing your inner passion for music.
I agree. No shame at all. People should sing more. I wish I was better at it, but people should sing more.
Unless, you know, because sometimes I put my music so loud, and you know, even though nobody's at home, and then, you know, you don't hear anything around you. So when somebody gets home, you know, they unlock the door and stuff, and you're doing the dishes and you're singing, and suddenly there's your mom or your dad in the kitchen, sparters, you know, laughing because you're singing. That can be embarrassing sometimes, but live your life at the fullest, ladies and gentlemen.
I think you should live it loud and proud. I think you should keep singing for your family and then do your thing.
Do you have a fun karaoke story, Jack?
I've actually never done karaoke, and I really want to. And honestly, I have a list of songs that I think I would do in karaoke, and a lot of them are more. Well, it actually ends up that it's a lot more talking than singing, or at least you can sort of talk your way through the song and still sound good. I'm very self-conscious, and I'd want to do good at karaoke, but no, I've never gotten to do it, which is unfortunate. And for those of you who have noticed what I noticed a little while ago, that little thing next to Adam Kreckskay's name on the timing sheet, it is a 10-second penalty deemed by our stewards after the incident with Mike Redford into turn 1. It's just a little bit too clumsy, punting him around, and unfortunately coming off the wall and straight back into Redford. Might have taken it from what could have been a 5 to then into a 10. So salt in the wound, as I say every once in a while, but I think still a drive to be proud of. Anyone who survived this race deserves a medal in my book.
I think so too. Yeah, I mean, Bathurst is definitely a tricky place. For sure the trickiest track on this calendar. I mean, we've had tracks like Indianapolis, Laguna Seca, Donington Park, the Red Bull Ring and Nürburgring GP, and then this one definitely stands out as one of the more trickier track. And well, dare I say, like I did just now, the trickiest track. And Aaron Jackson is definitely probably finding himself in a tricky, sticky situation right now, because he just can't shake the rear, or the front I should say, of Oliver Curtin, of his rear. And so these two drivers are still constantly focusing, eyes wide open, to see if you can just snatch a position if you're Oliver Curtin at the end of this race. 15 minutes and 18 seconds to go. We've already driven an astounding 36 laps of this Bathurst track. You probably have around 6 more laps to go. 6, maybe 5 more laps to go before this race has come to an end. That means minimal overtaking opportunities for Oliver Curtin. If he wants to do it, he needs to do it really, really soon.
Yeah, their pace is so equal now that Joe Dauber's escaped from the mix, but one mistake is never too far away. Aaron Jackson sort of tapped the wall several times when we've been on board with him. Clearly not getting away with all those taps, not carrying too much damage, nothing that'll slow them down. I mean, Aaron Jackson clearly has the pace. He's running as high as 5th position earlier in the race, and soaking up the pressure for sure and doing pretty well. I think the straight line speed of that Aston Martin is maybe helping just a bit. You can see how close Kearton is getting at the end of each straight. So one little mistake and one moment where Kearton gets a better exit, it could be all over on one of the straights. We're in the final 15 of the race, not just this round, but the final 15 minutes of the season. And I am proud to say it is the first season that I have managed to commentate start to finish here at RCI. Finally, schedules lined up that I was able to take from start to finish. And I think it's been a really good season.
I think you did horrible.
Well, it's been a good season of driving.
I
won't say anything.
I'm only joking.
I won't say anything about my performance. Oh, Kevin Boss drifting out of the final corner, living up to the GTR name. I'm not sure what happened to him. Well, clearly something rather massive happened to him because he was running, a few positions up and is now very much holding on to the wooden spoon. I am a big fan of the wooden spoon analogy. I like that.
The wooden spoon. Do you like cooking, Jack?
I do like cooking. I do I like grilling a lot. I'm a big barbecuist. Could be my red-blooded American.
You need a spatula for that instead of a spoon. But I digress. Because there's still racing going on with 12 minutes and 44 seconds remaining. Peter Vaga. Oh gosh, there goes, I think that's Mike Redford in the Ferrari who had an incredible time. No, there's a Ferrari just ahead of him. So it's Annie Boardman in his Ferrari who had a quite big of a moment. Coming out of Forrest's elbow, if I'm not mistaken. Annie Boardman was currently finding himself in P11. Will Andy Boardman be satisfied with a P11? I'm not quite sure. P5 in race 5, the last race in the Nürburgring GP. P8 in the race at the Red Bull Ring. And I think actually the race at the Nürburgring was Andy Boardman's best result. No, he got a podium in Laguna Seca. Don't mind me. He got a podium in Laguna Seca. Now Andy Boardman is running in P11 with 11 minutes to go. Quite a shame for the British driver, Jack.
Yeah, and I think, well, certainly not what he was looking forward to, but that early race incident that he had that put him so far out of the field, he hasn't really been able to claw back. I mean, he's clawed back up to 11th, which is a result on its own, but might be a bit unfortunate for his championship hopes. He might possibly jump ahead of Raphael Kuhl. I don't think so, but he might have to look back because Dauber's had a great race as well, so he might end up finishing a position down because of this race. It's all the fine margins in the universe. I don't want to jinx it. I really don't want to jinx it. But I think Miso is about to.
You've jinxed it. I can already feel it. 10 minutes and 40 seconds to go, and you've probably jinxed it, Jack. Or maybe I've unjinxed it now.
He'll be fine. Well, I'll be quite honest. I will be fully transparent. If I jinx it enough that he loses a single position and finishes in 4th, I will not be upset. I won't be upset because the story of the man who loves the number 4 who was just in 4th gear. Isn't that crazy? Number 4 shows up in front of him all the time. Like every lap, multiple times. Isn't that weird? Ready? Oh, there it is! Oh, wait. We'll come back in 15 seconds. Count it. That was mean! That was our broadcaster, Ash, maybe working against me. I was waiting for the number 4. It's the man who's in 4th place. John Dalton, and now he switched back. Now that we're in 6th gear. I am being worked against. But no, Miso Stubna has had an absolutely stellar race. And truly his best drive of the season, not just in position, but in sheer pace. And it might be one of his lonelier races. Oftentimes having to fight for a position or being fought. But it's a bit lonely. Nothing but the mountain and his front-engined Aston Martin to keep him busy. John Dalton, though, another great performance in the Dalton zone. I'm saying this like the race is over, but of course it isn't. It's just beginning to wind down. But it's been a stellar season.
Stellar, yes, and it can be a pretty lonely race, especially for Dalton, Stubna. Even if Kumper has a lonely race, you don't even have to have wind to accompany you on this fabulous track. I mean, there's literally 0 kilometers of wind, which is quite surprising because, well, Bathurst, it's pretty high, it's pretty high up, and like the saying goes, high trees catch a lot of wind. Do you know the saying? High trees catch a lot of wind.
I do know the saying.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty popular saying in Dutch. Hoge bomen vangen veel wind. High trees catch a lot of wind, but no wind. No wind. I digress as well, because we need to look at the man who's currently in P3 and who's touching 4th gear. Yes, we did see it. At last. Also yellow flags. Somewhere there are yellow flags. Someone has gone off. Yes, it's number 31. Kevin Bos has gone off once again. Oh, the Dutchman for Wheelie Slow Racing Team. What's happened to the Nissan GT3? Oh God, he's just... he must have lost it by himself, I reckon. There's nobody really we can see. I think Kevin Bos just lost it on his own.
You know, this gives me the perfect opportunity to say something. Kevin and I, we race often together, often on the same team. And there's something that he, myself, and our other racing compatriot, Cormac Malloy, often say, which is, you can't park there, sir. You can't.
You can't park there, sir.
Kevin. And I'm sure suddenly he just got a little bit annoyed in the racing car, and he doesn't know why.
It's Oliver Curtin. The Belgian driver in the Honda NSX in pit lane. Something's happened to Oliver Curtin. What's happened to the fantastic liveried? And as I can hear our beautiful broadcaster Ash Bippy shouting that he doesn't have anything, and that means it's probably either a connection issue or a hardware issue on his end. If you have issues with hardware, be sure to check out Moza, our fantastic partner. But maybe a hardware issue or just internet connection. Oh God! As he's back out on track. He is.
He is back out on track.
Oliver Curtin. Fuel maybe.
That's what I was thinking. My first inclination was maybe he needed to, but he was in pit lane for a long time. That last pit stop that he just completed, he was stationary. Or sorry, he wasn't stationary. He was in pit lane for 1 minute and 40 seconds. That's not the length of an emergency stop. That's some damage repair. So it's clearly something happened. Maybe he was carrying something that we missed, but nothing that anybody can see, nothing showing up on our wonderful tool that anytime there's contact, it'll very often ping the system and show us on the replay what it is. But it's bad news for Olivier Kierton, but it's really good news for Matt Malcolm. He has just driven absolutely stellar today. A great qualifying performance. He's bettered that qualifying in the race so far, up to P8 because of it. Best of the McLarens, and it might be one of the better performances that the brand has had in this season. I don't remember if they've bettered it. I'm gonna take a look now because I'm curious, because I've said something and now I want to check my math. I don't. Nope, I don't believe McLaren has finished higher than 8th, or finished higher than 10th rather, in this series. So, good marks on a great circuit. I'd say the second most difficult circuit possibly in the world. The first being the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Nobody's going to argue with me on that. But of the circuits that I can think of, I'd say this is absolutely up there. Here comes Varga catching up rapidly to the back of Matt Malcolm. This isn't for position. Could be for a bit of bragging rights. Maybe getting a little wiggly coming through, down through the S's. Oh, it's very wiggly as he's sideways into the wall. He's getting a bit ahead of himself, maybe pushing the car a little bit too hard, but Varga in the Ferrari has just been bitten by Mount Panorama. As Sebastian Brunier said earlier in the YouTube chat, that there's the carbon fiber needs to be sacrificed to the mountain always, and who is going to give that sacrifice? And it seems that Peter Varga has been the next to give a little bit of body work to the walls, to the gods of Mount Panorama.
Well, we have another loss, sadly, in this race, which is a real shame. But you know, we can't do anything about it, Jack. We really cannot. It's up to these drivers to survive. Sadly, Oliver Curtin did not.
I've realized I've just made an entire fool of myself because as it turned. Oh wait, no, I'm continuing to make it. Never mind. Ignore what I'm about to say, even though I haven't even said it. I was about to contradict myself and be wrong again. But we're just not going to worry about that. But Aaron Jackson, because of the loss of the NSX, has lost their playmate. And, well, maybe for better or for worse, Aaron Jackson's going to have a bit more of a relaxed finish. Mike Redford's actually in the pit lane now. Not sure why, but he was running in 9th behind Matt Malcolm, and he now, well, the car looks a bit scraped up, if you ask me. I think maybe another emergency damage repair. And, well, Boardman's day has gotten a bit better. I was talking about how, you know, maybe he wasn't content with 11th. Or Dan, you were talking about how he probably wasn't content with 11th. Good news. It's not 11th anymore.
P9.
Up to P9 for the
P9.
nicest numbered car in racing.
Yeah, I just, well, do I disagree? I do, because I have a personal number, but maybe the second best number in racing, as Nico Stupna, of Mr. Stupna, excuse me. You know, yes, a 666, but 444 probably would have been better, as we see 4th gear for the Aston Martin. Mr. Stupna currently chasing his, if I'm not mistaken, best race result of the season. Yes, because he's finished all races in P4. So Mr. Stupna is going to end this season on a high if he survives one more lap of this treacherous but yet fabulous track. Am I saying this correctly? Martin Lorenk, he does have 1 minute and 27 seconds left. I think we have one more lap after this one. Yes, I'm quite sure.
Yeah, it should be one more lap. He's got enough time to go down and cross the line just. And it will be this and one more. The second to last time that we're going to see this beautiful Bentley crest the mountain. And, you know, an hour and a half has not dulled his skills, has not dulled his pace at all. His last lap was a 2-minute 0.8. His best lap, a 2-minute 0.6. He's not relaxing in the sense of slowing down, but he is so in his element right now that he can almost better his fastest times right up until the very end of the race. There's Aaron Jackson just ahead, possibly the final car to be lapped by our leader. And well, if nothing changes in the next 2 or so minutes, we will be crowning Martin Lawrence champion of this series, the GT3 Master. I'm sure Aaron Jack's just getting out of the way. It was calculated. It's fine. No reason to worry. But, yeah, the final lap. The clock ticks down. 0 seconds remaining. Lily Armstrong. If there were to be a Driver of the Day award,
If there were to be.
I would put forward that perhaps Lily Armstrong is deserving of the award.
Championship for Martin Lorenk. Or Joe Darber. I mean, a very good contender indeed, because, well, he's also made his way up back from the pack pretty miraculously, if I might say so myself. Joe Darber started from pit lane, currently in P6. Fantastic job. As we see Martin Lorenk driving his last few corners of this fantastic racetrack. He comes down the S's for one final time. Purely focus for the Czech driver, because if he makes one mistake, just a tiny bit of an error as he loses the rear, just a tiny bit coming out of the tipper into Forest Elbows, he seems to be surviving this fantastic circuit that's called the Mountain, and Jack is going to go flat out onto this chase, onto the Conrad Straits, followed by the chase now onto his champion in the GT3 championship.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been the talk of the town for the last couple of months. ACC's on its last legs, but not quite yet, not quite here at RCI. I can guarantee that this is not the final time that we will be joining you for an ACC championship. It may be the penultimate time. We aren't sure, but it is championship victory on the mountain for Martin Lawrence. A proper immediate celebration followed by a congratulatory flash from Joe Dauber, who finishes right behind. And I mean, look at the distance between Nico Kumpu and Martin Lawrence at the end of this race. It really gives you a perfect illustration of just how quick that Bentley is and how quick the man was that's piloting it. But let that not take away from Nico Kumpu's pace at all. An unbelievably quick driver, a multiple Monday championship champion, is going to go through the final corner for the final time this series. That Ferrari maybe has seen better days as far as damage on the front end. It's a wiggle across the line, and it's P2 for Nico Kumpu, and it's P2 in the championship. Miso Stubna crosses just behind. It's not fourth place, not today, for Panorama delivered the first and only penalty of the season. Dalton crosses the line in fourth in his own little Dalton zone. The fastest hands in the West, next and final to cross the line. Kevin Boss keeping company. These two, I'm sure, congratulating each other just a bit, having one final little dash to the line in the voice chat that they're sitting in. What a drive for Lily Armstrong from the back of the field to P5. The AMG, something seems to be happening with the AMG at Bathurst. This time around, a final drift to cross the line to end the championship with a flourish. Dan, what a freaking race. That was just some really good stuff.
It all ends up in tears for Rafael Hull. Don't forget, he was fighting for P2 in the championship. He didn't finish his race, finished in P20, doesn't score any points whatsoever, if I'm correct. And that means that Miso Stupna has finally broken free of that P4 spot. He finishes this championship in P3, where he finished his last race. Absolutely incredible scenes. I'm not sure if Andy Boardman has overtaken Rafael Hull as well. I don't think so. So it's Martin Lorenk, your champion, followed by Nico Kumpu, Mr. Stupna in P3, and in P4 is going to be Rafael Hull.
It should be. I believe so. An incredible drive for the end. I know Rafael, we talked in a couple of interviews throughout the season. He's sort of dreading coming to this circuit. He doesn't really like it. He hasn't had good results in it in the past. I was hoping that today would be the day that he broke his curse, but unfortunately, the mountain took him and spat him out, and it's an unfortunate DNF for him, but a fantastic season nonetheless. And here are our finishers. We have Lawrence, Kumbu, Stubna, Dalton, Armstrong, Dauber, Jackson, Malcolm, Boardman, Roskam, Krekske, Redford, Varga, Boss, Kirtan, Vayu, Rhea, Doobie, Regibi, and Huel for the final race of the season. An absolutely fantastic season. I can immediately say to Mr. Nico Kumpu, congratulations finishing best of the rest in this championship. And, well, nobody really seemed to be able to touch Martin Lawrence, but I think best of the rest means quite a bit more now than it would in maybe another season. So congrats on the P2 and welcome. How was it? How was Bathurst?
Thank you, thank you. Well, the beginning was fine, and I saw Martin slowly getting smaller and smaller. And then in the downhill, I hit the wall and bounced to another wall. So I got like 22 seconds of damage. So then it was just trying to drive those perfect laps and see if Tabna is catching me or not. Do I need to fix the damage in the pit stops? But luckily I was just able to keep him behind, and I didn't need to fix the damage, but it was a handful the whole race.
Yeah, you looked a little bruised and battered, as we would come on to you every once in a while, but impressed you carried the damage throughout. It seemed to be the right strategy call. But I mean, it was a lonely race for you, as you said. I mean, you watched the Bentley get smaller, but it seemed like you were kept focused by Miso Stubna. I have to ask, are you disappointed in him, or are you pleased that he didn't finish in fourth?
Well, of course I had to think about that. He's not fourth, so he broke the curse, so I'm happy for him. Oh, awesome.
That was it was a stellar result, and I'm happy for him as well. Even though I was the biggest number 4 compatriot of them all, but as a whole, looking back on the season, are you pleased with your performance? Do you feel like there was maybe some more to give, or how did it feel overall?
Uh, Definitely there was more to give. I felt like I was either stuck behind someone the whole season, or then I made mistakes bumping to other cars, getting penalties. And now this race I made mistake and hit the wall. So it wasn't perfect season. The result is, I'm very happy with the result, what I eventually got, but it was hard season.
It certainly wasn't easy, and I know that we have at least one more championship here. Are you ready to hang up your ACC coat, or are you ready for one more go around?
Well, I'm not uninstalling the game, so let's see.
Well, let's see indeed. Congrats again on
you.
finishing in second position. Great to have you on circuit as always. You are just quick as hell, and always look forward to seeing whatever machinery you show up in, even though it often is a blue Ferrari. So congrats one final time, and hopefully we look forward to seeing you in the future again.
Yeah, thanks. I think we will see again at some point.
Good to hear. Good to hear, and then we'll move on to the man who, if my math is correct, will finish P5 in the championship if he's here, Andy Boardman, the driver who probably had a questionable race. Andy Boardman, please tell us, you had a P3. That's your best race result of the season. How does this feel?
Yeah, a bit of a shame really, because I had good pace, but start of the race was terrible. I was napping on the line. I was going too fast when the just before the green light, so I was off the accelerator completely. So I got jumped by Dalton and Stubner straight away, and then the second lap, I just lost it at the top of the mountain. I just made a very, very slight mistake, and it was enough to carry me on down the hill. And that was it. I was straight into the wall. I think I got about 1 minute 30 damage. So yeah, that cost me massively. If it weren't for that, I think I could have been up with Nico, but yeah, with the start being as bad as it was, I was fighting to get back. Yeah, so it was a tricky race, but it was a shame because I had good pace, I think. Apart from that one big mistake, I didn't really make any others. So yeah, but it only takes one mistake here, and that's it. And it was pretty terminal.
Mountain is tough indeed, yet you somewhat conquered it, and throughout the championship conquered basically every round. P5 in the end. Andy, are you satisfied?
Yeah, it's not bad. I've had some. I've not had some good races. Obviously, here was damage limitation after the start, and I think can't remember now. I've definitely had some bad results in a couple of the other races as well. I think results where I should have done better. But P5's not bad. Yeah, I'll take it.
Hungry for more though?
Yeah. What is there another champ coming up then in ACC?
Well, this is definitely not the last one. Jack
All
probably
right.
knows better than me, but it's
Yep.
not the last.
Perhaps
Yeah,
I'm saying more than I should, but I am very confident that this will not be the last.
Yeah, I'll do the next one then. I think whatever it is.
All right. Well, Andy, we look forward to seeing you again in the next championship. For now, goodbye and congrats with your P5 in the championship.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks very much.
We move on to Mr. Peter Varga. Welcome to the box. I'll just go ahead and say it. Bit of a tricky race this evening. Maybe not going great.
Very disappointing and painful one, I would say.
Did you? It was hard to tell with everything that happened in the first pileup, but did you sustain a bunch of damage from that? Was that where it sort of all started to go downhill?
Yeah, going uphill, everything just went absolutely downhill immediately. I just saw Porsche speeding on the left, so I was just trying to see where is he gonna go. When I saw he was returning back to the middle, I'm like, okay, maybe I can, see the opening there on the left. So I was just pointing my car there, and all of a sudden there is another car in my way, and it's just unfortunate. At that point, I sustained about 30 seconds of damage. No, 40 seconds of damage just from that, which was quite bad. The steering was bent, so I was just trying to stay out, wait for the pit window, so I don't just lose the whole pit stop and repair. But unfortunately, the car was kind of tricky to drive, and some mistakes happened as a result of that. And yeah, after that, I was just hoping for the best.
Yeah, Mount Panorama. It do be like that sometimes. It just becomes a race of management, but not your best race of the season. But I think you've had some really solid performances, especially in the first half of the season. Looking back, how do you feel like it went overall?
Overall, this I can't say I'm not happy for the result of the season as it is. From my side, this was the best driving I ever did in any series, and it just shows. Even today, the result itself does not speak of it, but the speed was there. The speed for fighting in the top 10 was definitely there. So I have to say I'm quite happy. I have not made any major mistake the whole season that I think of, like, why did I do that? That has cost me some kind of result. So overall, even though today I'm a bit more annoyed, if I look at the season, I am very happy.
Well, it's P8 provisionally right now. I can't imagine it would change too much, but hopefully that's. I mean, as you said, it's a result you're pleased with. But I mean, the ultimate question, if there were to be one more, which I really hope there is, because I feel like I'm going to look like a total dingus if there isn't now, because I've gotten everybody excited about it. But if there was another season, are you hungry for more? Would you come back?
Good question. Considering that the delivery I made today did not really get the shine that it deserved, I would be up to bring it out for one more special occasion, definitely. And I guess the Ferrari is just, treating me well, so, you know what, why not? If the track selection is good, then sure.
All right. Well, we got at least three. There'll be at least 3 cars on circuit for the final season. We can guarantee so far. Certain there'll be more than that. Well, thank you for joining us for another Monday champ. Congrats on finishing 8th in the championship, and well, hopefully, fingers crossed. We look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you as well. It was a pleasure.
He stayed ice cold, as Jesus can do anything per definition. Martin Lorenk, your GT3 Monday champion. How does it feel, Martin, to be champion? I want to say once again here at RCI. I suppose you've won more.
Hello. Always feels nice to win something, and especially on Panorama. Yeah, today's race was a blast for me. I enjoyed every minute of the car because on the weekend I did 2 12-hour races, one in iRacing, one in ACC, and I was driving with the McLaren, which was really good for the McLaren as it is. It was great, but the Bentley with Mr. Magician's Seb Brunier's damping is just unbeatable. The car is just so damn good.
How do you adjust your driving while going not only from a different car, but going from a different sim like iRacing to make the transition from ACC to iRacing and back again and still deliver?
It's I'm old, so it's rough to adjust. And I was like, the race was those 2 races were kind of hectic because it was at the same time almost. So I did like first stint in the ACC, then I swapped to iRacing, and then I was like doing something, and then I was finishing on the ACC. Like last 4 stints I was present, and then I was finishing again in the iRacing. So yeah, the transition is just unbelievable because both games are completely different. The feeling of the cars are completely different. And I can't say like it was unpleasant on the iRacing because I'm not a fan of the GT3 handling there too much, but it was good. It was definitely good. It was way more scary to go over on the top of the mountain than it was nice going down the mountain. In the ACC, going up the mountain is fine, and then you go into the skyline and you're just like holding to your dear life, not to die.
Well, you did win the car, thus you won the championship. I thank you very much for putting on such an awesome show. I mean, you won by what was it, 40 seconds a day? Incredible. So congratulations from me. Jack, do you have any more questions for our champion?
I mean, other than how are you so fast? But I feel like we'd be here a while, and I'd have to start giving you money if you did to learn your secrets. But no, congratulations, Martin.
No, it's just
You missed round 1. I saw your performance in round 2, and I sort of thought it's going to take some doing for this guy to not absolutely kill it out there.
oh well. Big thanks from me, obviously. But what is my secret to be fast? It's nothing. Just driving all over again, like driving, just for the curiosity. I'm just like gonna look into my stats on the ACC, how many kilometers I do have on the panorama, because it's, as I said earlier, it's too much.
It's too
So
much.
I heard it.
it's
It's from the horse's mouth.
6,600 kilometers with the Bentley all alone.
Oh, with only one
Ooh.
car, ladies and gentlemen. Here it is.
26,000 kilometers in total.
26,000.
That's incredible.
So yeah.
That's
So
some hours well spent.
Yes, I don't even want to count how many hours I was there present. Yeah. So yeah,
All right.
well, so yeah, too many kilometers, and it's just like yeah. So after so many like driven laps, it's just easier and easier to get into it.
Well, a championship well deserved, Martin. Thank you
very
for
much.
driving, and perhaps and hopefully we'll see you next season.
Happy to be here. I will be here definitely. If there will be an ACC champ, I will be here definitely.
Well, that's forecast, Jack.
Oh man, I like if this final season doesn't happen, I'm gonna look such a tent, but it'll be fine. It'll happen. It'll happen. I've said it. I've spoken it out into the world. If it doesn't happen, I will make it happen because I love Mondays so much. Some of my favorite races I've ever commentated on have all come from Mondays, and it's oh, one of the best things. Thank you, of course, to all of our drivers for the final time this season, because we would be well, Dan and I would be just having a conversation about nothing if it weren't for all of you. You make it happen. You make it worth watching with all of your unbelievable speed and phenomenal antics, and hopefully, crossing fingers and toes, we will have it all again fairly soon. Dan, any final words? Any final wisdoms?
Any final, well, words of wisdom? I wouldn't call myself wise, but I do want to thank everyone for watching. I thoroughly enjoyed commentating here on RCI. I want to thank our beautiful broadcaster Ash Bibby. He's doing such a fantastic job behind the screens, as always. The organization, the social media team is still active. To watch some highlights, please go over to our Instagram channel for more. And well, thank you, Jack, for being such an awesome commentator these last 2 rounds.
Well, the pleasure has been all mine. I can assure you of that. It's been a wonderful season. One final thank you to our partners that keep everything going smoothly here at RCI. That's Ready, Set, Sim, Coach Dave Delta, Greenman Gaming, Moser Racing, Pimax, and Motorsport UK. All their information is in the description. Check them out. They're all wonderful. They let us do this stuff, which I don't know, I think is pretty cool. And not only this season might be coming to a close, but starting this Friday, multi-sprint on Le Mans Ultimate is coming back for its 5th season. That is our multi-class premier event, hypercars in GT3s on some of the best circuits in the world. That will start next week and will carry on for 6 rounds of, well, hopefully another wonderful season. It's been great every time. And hope for more greatness. This is not the last you've heard from us on Mondays. It's not the last you've heard of us on ACC. I'm making that decree now. Thank you all so much for joining us on this season. I love you all. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. And I hope you close your eyes and hear race cars in your dreams.
You ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Get behind the wheel, let's go. Grip the road, feel the flow. Thunder roaring, steel alive. Live this dream and drive. Tires burning with gasoline. Push the limits, chasing green. One shot, don't slow, go on, we'll take control. Engines scream alive tonight. Blazing past the red line. Outrun the night, won't lose this fight. Follow the road, red line for show. We're chasing taillights, don't let go. Under the stars, we'll go so far. This is who we are. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. We're chasing taillights. The miles they fade, but they don't die. Faster now, the hours fly by. Sweat and gear gears, hearts in sync, on the edge, on the brink. Clock ticks down, stakes are high. One mistake, we kiss goodbye. Don't slow down, we're not done. Finish line for the strong ones. Engines scream alive tonight, blazing past the red line. Outrun the night, won't lose this fight. Follow the road, red line for show. We're chasing taillights, don't let go. Under the stars, we'll go so far. This is who we are. Chasing taillights. We're chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. We're chasing taillights. Feel the rush, see the goal. Every second, take control. The world blurs, time won't wait. We rise, we fight, we accelerate.